yes, we're still honored and have the pleasure of having Mr. Roland Sullivan, superstar of organization development. And we were just talking about how so great that we can give a chance to the non-managing or the employees to shine and to be discovered of their potential, of their highest potential, right? So a while ago, you were talking about it's no longer how to do the, it's no longer called the problem solving in a company. It's more the shifting to appreciation. Can you elaborate further?
Yes, the research says that the longer that a group talks about a problem, the more they lose energy. As opposed to if a group or a team is talking about an aspired future, the more energy and excitement they get. And I want to give a story.
Oh, I love stories.
You love stories?
Yes.
So does Raju. He's a local storyteller. What's his last name?
Maja.
Yes, I have to mention his name. He's my friend. In any case, Maja and I were just in Dubai. And we were in the, and somebody said, the royal prince had just been approached and by somebody who said, I want to build the tallest building of the region. I need these many $1 billion, and this is how long it's going to take. And the crown prince says, I want you to build the tallest building of the world, and I'll give you twice the money, but you got to do it in half the time.
Oh,
nice.
And right now, they have the tallest building in the world.
Yes.
And the royal prince said this, I want every person in this city, when they ever see that, and I want every organization, when they ever see that, aspire to be the absolute best they can be.
Mm.
And I believe that that is a positive draw rather than solving problems and negativity. And the new mind research says the more time a person thinks in a negative way, there are circuits that are created in their brain that diminish their potential brain power. And the more that...
Even their IQ.
Their IQ. Right.
The more negative you become, the lesser your IQ, actually the IQ available to you at that moment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
so that means organization development is good in providing opportunities for people,
Yes.
an organization, to influence the way in which they relate to their work,
Yes.
their organization, and environment.
Exactly.
Right? That's what we're going to talk about. And another question, how would you relate to organization development, which they say it helps in treating each human being as a person with a complex set of needs, all of which are important to their work and their life?
This world right now is more complex than ever before. It's more ambiguous. The environment is more volatile. And therefore, instead of a superstar, I cringe every time you mention that to me. Because I want to tell you who the superstar is. You thought I was going to say you, right?
You are now.
The superstar is the collective intelligence of the organization. It's all the people.
Yeah.
And this new superstar CEOs are the ones who recognize that and can bring that out. And so I often say, or Maja says, who's the smartest person in the room?
The team.
The team. You got it. You're the first person who's ever answered it quickly and spontaneously right.
I wrote it down, see?
Yes.
Team.
It is
Collective
the team.
intelligence.
It is the collective intelligence. And when we can muster that in an engaged, empowered way that's got accountability, we can go.
Correct. 2 heads is better than 1.
2 heads is better than 1. Exactly.
So, wow. You know, this is what we need. You know, really, there should be a really transformation and a change in managing companies. How about you in your company?
Well, you were saying earlier that organizational development should be a part of, it should be altogether different from human resources.
Yes.
But in our organization, organizational development is under human capital.
Yes.
So what they are doing now is they are looking at the performance of the different divisions.
Yes.
And then from there, I think they will implement the necessary changes. But it takes time, and
Yes.
some people get frustrated, or they can't wait for the right time, and they believe, or they tell themselves that even if management changes, if for as long as it is run by the same people, even if the name changes, it will still be run the same way.
And they're probably right. But thank God, at least you're doing something in your company. You are looking at the performance in different areas and so forth. And traditionally, in the last 20 years, this is how it is. Organization development is under HR. Right now, we're experiencing where it's turning around in India, where HR reports to OD. But that's not the way it should be. It should be the way it is at Ateneo. Because Dr. Bo Peep, who's the head of OD there, reports right to the president of the university, where she can confidentially talk about everything that's going on in the organization, and they can work together. And so that's how I believe it should be organized.
And some of the problems with the way it's applied is that sometimes we only look at what's least performing and try to bring that up to the average. But then the problem is you're still operating on average, right? Rather than looking and seeing what's the potential and how can we unleash more potential of those who are even already performing well. Imagine what could happen there, right? If we can bring those who are performing badly up to average, what could we do with those who are already operating really well? You know, imagine what's possible there. But the problem is we never look there.
Correct, we never do, right?
Why not?
So there should be an OD in operations.
Yes.
And there should be OD in training and development.
Well, I think that training and development is a door opening to organization development. The research says that training creates no positive change in the organization. Instead, training is like a skill-based thing. You got to learn how to compute your computer and so forth.
It's already a bad word, the word training.
Yes. And Harvard just says that all leadership training gets a big fat F. Why? Think about this. You'll agree. Is that you go away to some workshop and you get trained in all the new leadership theories. You come back into the organization and you give up after 2 weeks because the environment or the culture doesn't let you practice the new things you learn.
That's one. And the other thing
It's really
is,
sad.
leadership starts with leading yourself. And if you cannot even lead yourself, how can you possibly be credible in leading others? Yeah, that's where leadership begins, and it starts with leading yourself.
And they should accept creativity and innovations within the team.
Absolutely, innovation and creativity is an absolute must today.
But sometimes you're not allowed to, because they don't want to be the superstar.
Because only one person is allowed to be the superstar.
Correct.
Right?
And
that you know why that is? It's built on insecurity. Yeah, only a leader who has power enough to give away power, can truly be powerful.
Well
said. I like that.
Others.
In that movie, that the local film, My Boss, this girl is very powerful. She's good. She's an assertive boss, and she can get whatever she wants, and she'll do whatever she wants.
Yes.
But you know what? She's an unhappy person. She's not a people person. At the end, she lost the people around her working. She's the only one who's doing good. As you said, for a person to be successful, you have to be a people person.
Yes.
You have to love. There should be relationships.
Yes.
And there should be
Authentic
love.
relationships.
Authentic.
Appreciation.
And
Even love, right?
I said love,
Yeah.
yes. But you know what she said? That's why she's unhappy. And she just knows the only thing she has is her work. She doesn't have a lover. She doesn't have a family.
Right.
The mom and the mother died. So she has no one to go home to. So she just slave herself to assertiveness and to success. But she forgets that she steps on people along the way. And at the end, she realize, that's why it's become better, that in life, you really have to be authentic.
You have to be
You have
authentic.
love, and you must have
And
relationship.
the only time we step on people is when we see them, like Harvard calls this a mechanistic culture, when we see people like they're on part of a machine rather than they're a human being.
Yeah, that's why
A
that's,
human being has so much more potential than a chair or a desk or a floor or a light.
and that's what the organization
Yeah,
development is
so many
focused, right?
organizations
Yes.
are treating them as if they're just machinery, right? A wheel in a big gearbox, you know. It's like you never, ever will get enough potential out of that person.
Okay, so,
Vicky?
Vicky?
Roland, can you share what's the profile of the leader of the future?
I want to give this a name. Ernest Gilding. Google him.
Ernest Gilding.
It is the first quantitative research on leadership in the world globally. And the results are not what is being taught from Europe, Australia, or from the United States. It's just changed. One of the biggest variables is the leader has to be able to connect and make connections. It's almost another word like relationships.
Correct.
The leader has to be able to facilitate differences. I was just doing some work with Samsung, and here's what their issue is. How does the Korean work with the Chinese person, with the person from Australia, and the person from the Philippines?
Yes.
Together.
It's a skill necessary in today's globalized world.
Yes, and so we have, or I'll give a more specific example with one of the print companies here, working with the United States. The United States wants them to be open and direct and be honest and give feedback, and they say, no, we're uncomfortable doing that. We should respect that.
Yeah.
And so we need to, the new leader needs to break down the barriers.
Yes.
The other thing that they need to do is they need to be innovative. They need to be risk-taking. They need to have courage. And this is a new one. We need stronger leadership. We need stronger positive leadership now than any ever time in the face of the earth.
Yeah, because they're the one handling and
Yes.
motivating people.
Yes.
You know, and if they don't, they will make the people die or they go up.
Right.
Right? It's very important. That's why you guys who are motivating these companies should really be taught organization development.
That's right.
Right?
Now I'll give you another reason. Because we had a meeting last night and we just heard that Philippines is going to be in a new Asia where all the boundaries start to come down between the different countries. Yes? Whoa! Philippines, you better get your self-esteem up there fast, because what we heard is sometimes the Philippines think that the franchises and the companies from the other parts of Asia are better than them. And these people are going to be coming in and taking your business, and so you better change fast. And I'm going to give this quote, and then we'll talk. The greatest leader of transformation probably in the world in the last 20 years has been Gesetner, or what, I can't pronounce it right, from IBM. He was asked, do you want your people to fear you or love you? And he says, I want them to fear, not changing. I want them to love change.
That's right. That's right.
And so the Philippine people better start loving change. And this is the other message I have to every person in the Philippines listening.
Even on the planet.
On the planet.
Yeah.
Begin with yourself right now and change and learn and grow and go to school and be the best you absolutely can be and release your potential.
That's right.
Because if you don't, your neighbor is.
Mm-hmm. So there should be a continual education.
Yes.
Because the first thing you should transform as a leader is yourself.
That's right.
Yes.
That which you do not know, you cannot.
If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others.
Yes.
You'll be not a credible leader.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, you have other questions?
or other comments?
Yeah.
Jackie.
Can you tell us more about the integrity circles?
Oh, the integrity circles. It's actually a part of a worldwide movement. But the armed services here are really one of the leaders in the world in it. And what it involves, I just saw the plan yesterday, and that is that they're getting 65 people together, and they are looking at the entire service, armed services here, the Navy, the Air Force, and the pardon
The AFP,
AFP.
Armed Forces of the Philippines.
me? Exactly. We went by their office the other day, I think, also. And what they're doing is they're really doing OD. They are assessing where they are and planning where they want to be. And they have a number of incredible, wonderful values that they are talking about, like honesty and discipline and accountability, integrity, honesty, and it's wonderful. And so they're really trying to engage the entire service organization to change towards a greater human-based, valued organization, and I applaud them. So that's a little bit about what's going on.
So it's an international movement. So in the
Yes.
Philippines, they are starting with the AFP.
Well, and there's a number of other organizations also. I think that in one community, there's 200 leaders who are interested.
So also at the grassroots level.
Yes, yes. And so there's hope.
Nothing works without integrity. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's
But it
right.
starts in the home,
Of course. It starts always with the cell.
by the father and the mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And no white lies.
Right. And I will repeat something I said before because it's so important. It has to become a part of the government of the Philippines. And they have to be open and honest and transparent. And somebody said when I came here, when our airport isn't as nice as the one in Dubai because of a corruption. The Philippines has the money. I saw the statistic yesterday with the military. They pinpointed I saw a picture of the top 20 richest people in the Philippines, and they control most of the money in the country. There needs to be a shift where these people are not being selfish, but they're using their money to help other people.
I like that because I know there are several companies here wherein they even employ people less than 6 months, and the government allows it. What can you say to that? You know, there are a lot of private companies here wherein they just hire a consultancy, contractuals, they work for you for 5 months, and then they kick you out because they don't want to pay benefits.
Right.
Isn't that incredible how these companies are very, very
This
rich?
is
I don't
what
want to name them.
This is
Right.
what
Yeah.
everybody
That's
knows from the
unfair.
law. We don't need to name them. There's a big price they pay for that. Imagine if you're an employee and you know you're only going to be there 6 months. Are you really going to care for that company? Are you really going to care for their customers? Are you really going to care for their sales? Are you really going to care how happy those customers are? And that you really truly help them? No, you don't care. You're just there surviving your 6 months. Yeah? And the one that's paying the price is the company. The one that's paying the price is the customers. They say that you should treat your employees the very same way you want them to treat your best customers.
Absolutely.
That's true, right? So
Your
how come
best
the
customers.
government allows that? Is that okay?
Imagine that.
It's not okay, but it's happening in Africa too. It's happening in the United States. It's happening in
These
all over.
contractuals?
Well, the contractuals and the money going just to a few.
One person.
Yes,
India and China.
exactly same thing. But here's another thing I want to share with you. Thank God for the Philippines. When we had the Asian OD network here, we had Dr. Worley come in from the United States, and he said, organizational development should focus on people,
Yes, people.
the planet, and profits. And somebody from the audience, a Filipino, got up and said, Dr. Worley, I don't agree with you. We also need to take care of the poor. We need to take care of our country and our society. Okay? And then they went on to say that the organization should not exist for profit like it does now most worldwide. It should exist also for the people in the organization and their families, and they should be generating the profits for them also. Not just exploiting people.
That's true. That's exactly.
There's a saying actually, to kind of underline what Roland says. Profits, of course, are important for the shareholders and to keep the company alive.
But how much is how much?
But if your company is not making a difference in the world, your people will not be inspired to work for you. When they're not inspired to work for you, they'll leave their brains at the door. When they leave their brains at the door, they will not perform to their best. And your company also will not, right? So actually making a difference in the world, having your people know they're making a difference in the world, inspires them, inspires you, inspires your stakeholders, inspires your customers, inspires your investors. Yeah, it actually helps the business grow. And on top of that, you're supporting your market on which you live. You know, without your market, you don't have a business.
I like that.
Right? You don't have a business without your
But
market.
how come they are profiting so good?
That's what they think, but they could be profiting so much more.
But with much guilt.
But right now, yes. But when you make a difference in the world, there's no guilt, there's appreciation, there's love.
That's correct. How could you be so successful when people are already spitting behind you and say, yeah, right.
Now, how can you feel good about yourself, right? But the good news is that you will be profiting even more
If
when
you
you make
would
a difference
take
in the
care of
world.
the
Which is
business.
true.
Yeah.
Which is true.
So, development organization. So what are the good effects in a company? And the reason why they should have a change or transformation.
I was just with Dr. Perla from the Philippines here, and
He's the founding director of SIDE?
exactly.
Okay.
The first dean.
The first dean.
Oh, the first
After
dean.
Sister Blondin died.
Yes.
Ateneo.
Exactly.
Before Rose Fuentes is the current dean. So before Rose Fuentes.
Yes, exactly.
She's a professor now at AL, or Assumption University of Thailand, and she's making a great contribution there.
And she is now going to be leaving Thailand, and she wants to come back and give her wisdom to the Philippines because that's
so
her
nice.
love. But what her and I and Maja just did is that we're have a graph of how we want the result to be with the organization development program we're working there now. And it's to have a happy organization. And so in the center of this big graph that we made is a smiley face. And so the result of organization development should be happy, a loving organization. And that's another one of the new trends in our field, is that how do you bring and talk about love in an organization openly and honestly and authentically. And so that's one result. The second thing is that the organization performs at a much higher level, and more important than all of it, the customers are happy. I'm starting to see that now, where good organization development programs are used, the customer service has changed, and where there's more attention to the customer. In fact, it sounds like you're in the airline business somewhere, okay? Well, we just did a thing where we brought all the managers of airports together with the head of the corporation and started to have conversations between the managers of the airports who corporate is serving. And when that dialogue starts to occur, there comes new realizations and new changes and new decisions. So that's just a few of them, are, you know, a few of the results.
So they'll be better in acquiring their vision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And organization development may help them create their vision so they believe it. Let me give you a story.
Yes.
Let me give you another story. Maja and I were working in Africa, and the largest financial system in Africa. Now, in any case, we were working with the top team, and I sensed something wrong in the room. And I says, what's going on here? And finally, they said, we don't believe in our strategic plan and our mission and our vision that we just paid millions of dollars from Europe to create with one of the big outside consulting firms. So we recreated it in 2 hours, where they owned it and they bought it.
Wow.
And then what we asked them to do is, let's keep it in a draft form.
Oh.
And then we went to 2,100 people, and they redid it over and over, changed some words and so forth, and they owned it and they bought it.
Good.
And so when you involve the people, they will support what they help create. We changed the profit in that group from to 69% increase. Every other of the 50 divisions, now Barclay, of that organization, ABSA, only moved from 5 to 10%, but where we engaged the people, it went to 69%. That's just what you said, right? You get the results?
Yeah.
That's very good.
That's from 30 to 69%.
No. All the other, there's 50 units. This is the largest division in Johannesburg. They increased their profit 69%, the 49 only increased it from 5 to 8% or something like that.
Wow, that's so great. So you create an atmosphere in which employees are encouraged to work and participate enthusiastically.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good.
So how are we doing?
Very good. So we have to encourage all this management and CEOs to have a development organization.
I think that's part of the issue that's kind of like hidden, is because we call it management, and management in a way is telling people what to do. While leadership is encouraging people to find their own way. Right?
Absolutely.
We should call it an organization.
The term management should probably slowly be phased out. That's my sense.
And how should we call it now? Organization?
Organizational change.
Organization.
Positive organizational change. But this is, I think, that every person listening here, if they're interested, can do. They can go to LinkedIn. There are 50 groups on change there. There's conversations going on. There's all kinds of free information and literature, so they can be self-educated. And where they can start is their family. They can start with the team they're working with in their organization.
Yeah, we could start with our family.
A family is an organization, right?
You have how many children for?
Imagine if you allowed your children to have a voice rather than telling them what to do.
And your children are so alive and vivacious and wonderful. Brother.
So that's why we call ourselves the home executive. The CEOs. Chief Executive Officer. Aren't you the Chief Executive Officer of your home?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, good. Are you thinking?
Oh yeah.
How about you, Maja?
Maja.
Maja.
No.
What's
Not yet?
Not yet.
She's a single proprietor.
But in any areas of life, I think women are good chief executive officers. As you said, they have the intuition.
Yes.
Oh, the question, as you said.
Actually, I think before you go on,
why do you think that women maybe, or in the future, will become the top heads of companies?
And why are you pointing at Bjorn?
Because tell us what you just said. You think women are better leaders?
Women, while boys grow up playing cowboys and Indians with guns and so forth, women are, little girls, they don't play with guns, they are in tea parties. What's happening at tea parties?
Connection.
is connection. Tea parties is communication. Tea parties is being with people. Yeah, being with equals, right? And there's so much more you get out of people when you treat them as equals than if you treat them as something below, subordinates, right? Yeah.
I believe in that.
Employees, rather than let's set the titles aside and let's treat each other like human beings. Yeah.
And so women naturally have the characteristics of the new leader more than men,
Absolutely.
which is connections, relationship, having emotional intelligence,
Yes.
empathy.
But
They
that's the leader we
listen.
need for the new century.
So,
Yeah.
would you agree that managers should treat their subordinates as friends? Would that be effective?
I don't know if it's friends, because a friend is like an equal. I think they need to treat them like a wonderful parent would a child who is loving and kind, but still
The respect.
has the respect. Yes. And so when we talk about empowerment, we talk about giving people responsibility, but then also there needs to be accountability.
That word, accountability.
Kindness, love, but when it's needed, tough love as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Just like a mother, how we would treat the child, right?
Exactly.
They will have to face the consequences of their actions.
Exactly.
And the managers must meet out the
Yes.
penalty if needed.
Yes.
Oh, so mommies and girls should learn OD first.
Well, it's interesting. When I started in the field, it was all men. And the woman who has done more for diversity in the world than I believe anybody is Edie Seashore, the late Edie Seashore. And she was one woman among all men. And she had a tremendous challenge to try to be respected and heard and listened to. Now the field of organization development is 70% women.
Wow. And Maja?
And I heard from Kabbalah, more this year.
Leaders?
Women will be leading.
Right. And I don't know Kabbalah that well, but I do know this, that there's such wisdom in Kabbalah that needs to come in to leadership and how we run an organization.
That's true. That's true. The proper sharing.
Yes.
Because it's so nice to be helpful and giving when it's your
Yes.
comfortable
Yes.
position. But will you give in your most uncomfortable position?
Right.
And you get more, actually.
Yes.
That's
the
more of
universe
the-
always gives you back. You may not know where it's coming from, but the universe will always give you back. For everything positive that you give out, something
Yeah.
positive
So
comes
that's why
back.
we have to really, in order to transform, is we really have to learn what are the basic virtues and good
Yes.
character that
Yes.
would form a good leader.
Yes.
So in the lack of a mother, we rear up good leaders.
I
Yeah.
want to
Starts from
share, because this conversation about transformation is not really very easy. I want to share an example earlier. It happened to me. I was driving my car, and of course, I wanted to arrive on time. But there was this jeepney that wanted to make a U-turn, so I allowed it to make a U-turn. It was really moving slowly, but then there was another motorcycle moving really fast. So in short, because I don't know if it planned to overtake the jeep before it made its U-turn.
Yeah.
But to make it short, the motorcycle fell on the ground, slipped and fell on the ground. What surprised me was that the jeepney didn't even bother to stop and continued its route. And for me at the time, I really felt like I was the one responsible because I allowed that jeepney to make a U-turn. So in my mind, it became a very huge blaming thing, like the thoughts that were crossing in my mind didn't even stop. How dare the driver just ran off like that? Didn't even check the driver of the motorcycle. But then I started to be aware about my thoughts, and the thing is, that even though it started as a good intention, it can easily shift into this whole blaming thing and seeing the negative. That's why I really acknowledge and thank you, Roland, for emphasizing that you know, in these days of complexity, it's so important to make sure that you always keep this positive, you know, positive thinking or positive psychology be alive, because you know everybody here are leaders, and it's just so easy to be swayed from this to that direction and then just see that this is a huge problem. You know, if it became a condition of, you know, you have to take them to the hospital or some insurance has to be paid, correct? Yeah, this positive you know, direction is a very, very huge thing to take on.
Or to have the discipline of forgetting that ego, which is the ego, it's the one that really causes chaos. That driver wanted to be faster.
Well, when you think about it, in an environment of bullying, when there's a lot in traffic, sometimes there's a lot of bullies in traffic. And so when you all of a sudden have someone, which is very unusual, provide courtesy to another person, right?
But
to let them go first, all of a sudden that brings about chaos because nobody's expecting it, right? Yeah, this guy's expecting her to be a bully like everyone else, so he's like, with his motorcycle, but here comes courtesy, right? Nobody's expecting it because it's not present.
Yes.
How can we get more courtesy into traffic?
Well,
How can we respect each other? How can we appreciate each other more, right?
Do you give courtesy? Do you drive?
And it takes empathy. If you're a motorcycle rider and you don't have empathy, you're gonna crash. You're gonna get hurt.
See,
you're gonna have accidents.
we need to talk to the management of the how do you call it, jeepney associations in the Philippines. They have to be taught too. You know, everyone has to be taught.
Yes.
You know.
And taxi drivers mostly.
Which brings me, there's such a thing as social development. Does it operate under the same principles? Organizational development and social development. But social development is because MK was talking about talking to the jeepney drivers, jeepney associations. So maybe another the social development.
Yes, I'll give you a story. When I was doing my PhD work at at one of the Gold Coast private schools, actually it was a Jewish school, in Chicago, I was the consultant to the system, and I had all the teachers from age 3 to 18 start every day with what we called citizenship hour. And it was, even with the 3 and 4-year-olds, we started talking about feelings, about kindness, about relationships with each other, and I think that schools need to do more of that.
Yeah, the school.
Yes, and we know how to do that. I'm going to give you another example of organizational development in the social world. Maja and I are going to be working tomorrow on a $5 million project to deal with all of the major 8 cities around the Great Lakes in the United States to help the poor youth. And we're going to help bringing the whole community together. Like we have 12 major helpers: the educators, the policemen, the pastors, the parents, and so forth. All the social agencies, and work together as a community in a large group of 300 and 400 people to plan how to change their community. And we have very aggressive goals to reduce alcohol use, pot use. They're going to go into physical activity programs. We're going to deal with the institutions that are going to try and keep the kids from falling out of school. We're going to give them hope. And so this is where the new organizational development theory and practice can have a huge impact on society.
Roland, we can tell you love the country, you love the Philippines. How can you, what's your dream about, how would you love to help? What would inspire you about being engaged here? What would you love to do? What would be your dream about doing for this country?
What transformation change
what kind of transformational change
like
would you like to bring? If anything was possible, what would you like to do?
And how?
Well, and how, yes. What I would really like to do is to be able to transfer what I know to a dozen people. And they then take and train a dozen more each. And how I would do that is start with one organization, one CEO who is interested in transforming their organization, and then create the case that we can then generate the generic learnings from that case that we can share with others.
Yeah.
And so that would be specifically my
Forming
dream.
a network.
Forming a network to do that. And to support the change process that's going on here. Because I'm looking out the window, and as I was walking here, I had to take my picture with one of those buildings over there because it was absolutely so beautiful. You've got more buildings going up right here than we do in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Correct.
In my sight, right?
Yeah.
And it's like Stephen, who was the head, he's from Minnesota, the head of Asian Instrument Management.
Yes.
He says, I says, why are you here? He says, because this is where the excitement is. This is where the future is.
He's absolutely
And
right.
I'm falling in love with the Philippine people. Because they're, I mean, where is there more fun to happen than any place in the Philippines?
Yeah, it's more fun in the Philippines.
Because the people are so
It is.
the people are so wonderful. They're high valued. They've got the future here. And so I would just like to find a way to support it. And I thank you for allowing me to be here and share my passion about organization development. And
I think your passion shall be our passion too. Because we want transformation.
Yes.
We want change.
Positive change.
Positive change.
Evolution, yeah.
It's really revolutions.
No,
We will accelerate that transformation.
And this is what I genuinely believe. It's going to happen with or without me. I believe it's just naturally going to evolve
Correct.
because of what's already here.
It's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah, I must say our country is very, it has beautiful people.
Yes, it does.
And,
Here's something else you have. The 12 major foods that the United States are eating should not be eaten.
no hamburgers.
No hamburgers.
French
But
fries.
you have the third most important source of food in the world. Right, Maja?
We are the third, yes, the Philippines. Number one is Brazil. Second is Indonesia.
Yes, and it's your coconut, it's your cacao. You've got it in the outskirts here.
Durian.
Yes, durian.
I love durian.
Yes, and so you have resources here that the rest of the world doesn't have. You just need to be aware of them and learn how to help your people eat them, and
Keep them organic.
keep them organic. The other thing I want to say is this. We are entering an epoch of transformation, says David Hewell, one of the futurists. 3 major transformations are happening right now in the world. Number 1, globalization. The barriers are broken down. The Philippines is going to be a major player in the world. Number 2, technology. You have it in your hand right there. That is going, in the next 5 years, is going to be incredible. Right now, Google is setting it up so by the year 2020, it's going to be free Wi-Fi for the entire world.
They gotta give us that?
Yes, it's coming.
Wow.
And so the technology is just, I just saw yesterday on Yahoo where you can do a 3D printed house in 2 days. Double story, big as this whole office area here. Okay? That's all around. The new advances are coming in technology so fast we can't even track them. And the next transformation is healthcare. And Ateneo, I just saw it, they're building up a brand new health and wellness center on the campus. And so health, I heard somebody tell me that be living to be 125, 50 years old with perfect health. Perfect health all those years.
Nice.
And so that's here. It's just coming, and we have to get it out to our people so they get educated. And so I am saying there's a incredible, positive future coming, and as you said, Jackie, it's just a matter of time.
Okay, well said. So, any parting words?
I think what we can do and what Roland can do, he can help accelerate it even further.
Yes, so...
And for those of us who want everything now, and I think this world wants everything now, and also to be competitive, it's good to have it now. Why not?
So I thought you started it, right, so, Roland?
Yes.
Many other people.
We're doing it right now. It starts with a conversation.
Correct.
Right?
And Ateneo is a good place to start this development organization program and teaching to be agents.
Agents of change.
Agents of change.
Yes.
And what else? With the Department of Education, you also have started it.
Well, yes, I haven't, but yes, there it is happening there, and it's happening many places. Another place I think it's really occurring is in our religious organizations here.
That too.
Yeah, I'll go to say
where you should start.
This is a Catholic country. The Pope Francis is using organization development. He's using my model. He took 8 people to transform the Korea. That's the top cream first phase that I say. Get them together. And now, in the second week of December, he's bringing all the cardinals together and having a big interactive process. I know he's using this because Father Dave Coughlin from the University of Dublin and Ireland, Trinity University, had taught the Pope when he was in South America how to do organization development and how to have these interactive conversations. And so I do believe it's very much rooted here in your religious organizations. Isn't that right, Maja? I mean, you were doing it.
Yes. Actually, I was just talking to Vicky a while ago that as I work with you, Roland, I discovered that I've been doing OD all my life as a sister. I'm an ex-sister.
Oh,
a sister.
Yes.
Nun.
A nun.
Yes.
An ex.
Okay. So we've been doing social transformation, which is very much the same as organization development.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about more why you didn't become a nun after. Why the change? Roland gave you a transformation change. You have to come back. Vicky?
What really moved me when I was listening to Roland in the conversation earlier was this caring about the whole and this continuous commitment to always, bring out your best and continue to always also encourage others to bring out their best because the collective wisdom is the one that's most going to contribute to everybody. That is the one that's most.
Yeah, I like the collective intelligence versus the team.
Yes.
Jackie?
Earlier, Bjorn asked you about what you can do, what you would like to do for the Philippines, and I sense how Filipinized you are. You speak of the country as our country, the Philippines as the people, as you look at Philippines as your own. So thank you for that, and thank you for gracing the show. What touched me of all the things that you said is the quotation that you mentioned: fear not changing and love change.
Yes.
So as one of the supporters of organizational development and of integrity circles that you have mentioned, I would like to share this to our listeners. If we will have less for ourselves and more for others, we will have enough for all.
Beautiful
so, on
quote.
that note, thank you so much, Ronald. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. We don't have so much time. Thank you so much for being here also, our superstar.
You're a superstar.
Of Develop Expansional Power, Mr. Bjorn Martinoff. And also, Maja, thank you so much. And of course, thank you so much. Our team would like to thank you, Roland. And I hope really we need somebody like you in this country.
But you're the superstar.
No,
You're the
team.
media
The superstar. She's the superstar of the superstars.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I learned so much, and in a nutshell, of course. So we have learned that to make avail of what Roland's expertise is, which is development organization, organizational development, vice versa, is we can learn to become, we reach our highest potential, most of all, and we learn human values. You know, the importance of human values as people who in the working force, as we work among each other. And through development, the organization encourages employees to solve problems instead of avoiding them. And then we strengthen interpersonal trust among the employees and management. All right, so, and then we I learned that we create an atmosphere for people to participate, especially employees, enthusiastically. And replacing the formal lines of authority with personal knowledge and skills. And we also learned that we can create an environment of trust so that employees willingly accept change. All right? I think I'm gonna not fear change. I'm gonna love change.
And embrace it.
And I'd like to say hi to a friend
And flirt with it.
who might want to make me a change. Hi there, Paul. He's from Montreal. Hi, Montreal.
By the way, let's say hi to Conrad Pereira.
Oh,
He
yes.
said that he
Yeah,
can
because he's so
be here
graciously
today.
accepted.
He's here.
Michelle,
Thank
yes.
you, Conrad, for that being
Thank you,
here. You're
Conrad.
able to grace another chair for a guest joke. How are you, dear? Our, how do I call him? Our
Bamboo.
Bamboo. No, the other one.
The debonair.
The debonair. Our debonair.
I had to look up that
Conrad
word.
Perez, wherever you are, have a nice afternoon. And for Philippines who've been tuning with us, thank you very much. And hopefully you'll tune in again for next week and learn more of how RPN can accelerate your life or simplify your life. And organizing and developing and giving transformation change to our life and our company is one way of accelerating our life. Thank you, Philippines, and stay tuned for equal justice.
Wonderful.
Thank
That was
you.
fun.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
no, you
I want to get the
bring
file.
out the best in
All
us.
your file in the
Oh,
video
thank you so
file.
much. I hope I did.
And I saw how you brought Jackie in. Jackie came in with some very practical
Yeah.
things.
She's in the management. She's in the new job for management.
Airline.
Philippine Airlines.
Oh, Philippine Airlines.
They need you there.
What did you in our-
They should invite you.
You did have an OD. You do have an OD